Welcome to the show, 5-Star Fam. I'm AJ, and this is Chris. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. So welcome back to the program, Chris Smith of 90 Min. He, of course, you can find him on the Atlanta United Twitter space and Instagram, talking about not only Atlanta United, but MLS on a whole. Some really great takes and also lots of stats if you're into that type of thing. But, yeah, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Awesome. Yes, awesome to have you as always. But yeah, the season has ended. Decision day decided our fate. And LA United are in the playoffs. Unfortunately, not a home game. They will be facing NYCFC in Yankee Stadium in that... last time we were there was 2018, and that went pretty decently in the playoffs. So, not too bad of I think the grounds anyway to see that. But, in terms of the season on a whole, let's talk about that first. I mean, it was definitely an up and down season. You have not only a head coach get fired mid-season, but you have an interim coach that kind of also inspires the team and also the fans, and then a new head coach, permanent head coach, that does do some wonders for us and gets us into the playoffs after it all seemed a little bit grim at mid-season. But how do you assess our season on a whole? Maybe on a A to F scale. I don't know if you guys do that over there in the UK, but is it the same? Like, where is it?
We've got a variation of that. Well, we can go with that.
Yeah. Okay. So on that scale, what do you give a grade for us?
Based on what they were coming into from 2020, which was obviously a disaster and a tough start under Gabriel Ainsa. I think it very much went from potentially being an F to I think you can give it a solid C. Maybe even I might even be a little bit harsh there. A season of two halves, 13 games in, 2 wins, not looking anywhere near a playoff team, obviously. And then Gabriel Ainsa goes and Rob Valentino takes over. Gonzalo Pineda comes in. The points per game nearly doubles. Joseph Martinez looks like the old Joseph Martinez, and Ezekiel Barco lights up after the Olympics. Things start falling into place. So I think if you were to slice the two in half, they'd be two very different grades. But I think overall, I think a C or a B, I think is very fair.
Yeah, I agree. It's somewhere in there. It's like maybe C plus, B minus.
Yeah.
We underachieved, obviously, in kind of our overarching team goals for the year. Because obviously, I think a lot of us with the talents and with, the head coach for, like, all he was lauded for bringing in, I think, we ultimately underachieved, but we, I think on a whole, we do well enough to, I think at least, kind of, the fan base, I think, will tell you how they feel about the team throughout the season, and especially I think that temperature, especially on social media, it's very apparent, at least in my eyes, because I can see how many people are engaging, how many people are just always kind of following on a regular basis, and it was definitely it got a little grim there in June, and probably before that in May. But it definitely saw an uptick in engagement and people caring, and I think that usually is a good barometer. But I think for Atlanta United on a whole, with our championship ambitions, though, that's the question. Are we on track do you feel like we have a good foothold within the playoffs to do something?
In terms of championship ambitions, you've got to say they're not on track because they don't have a home game at all. And the path that's been laid out in front of them is obviously a tough away game at NYCFC, a good team anyway, but then on a very challenging pitch and a narrow pitch and a tough stadium to go to. But then if you win that, you go into the Supporter Shield winners in the conference semi-finals. So I don't think you could have asked for a harder draw. So in terms of the championship aspirations, probably not quite on track, but then I don't think that Atlanta United should be scared of anyone at this point. We've already mentioned some of the talent that they've got, but Marcelino Moreno's probably the team's best player throughout the whole of the season. Luis Araujo has come in and made a real difference. George Bellows and Brooks Lennon at wing back have got really good attacking intent. And the back three, when it's really gelling well, or even switching to a back two like they did for the second half on Sunday, they are among the best centre backs in MLS. At least Miles Robinson, I think, as a growing force, Alan Franco as well. So there's plenty of talent there, and I think that there's no reason to be scared. But I think if you're asking if the championship ambitions are on track, I'm going to say not quite, just because of how the draws fell.
Yeah, definitely tough assignments for not only the first round, and if we get past that, definitely a kind of record-breaking season from New England Revolution. That's a tall task as well, for sure. You said it best. I think, there's a lot of talent on this team. There is some maybe questions on which formation we would play, possibly, and we'll maybe talk about that a little bit later on, looking into the NYCFC match kind of more intently. But I think, with that, the three at the back has been the most successful for us for our large swath of, kind of our best spell this season. Now, will we be caught out on a side that, NYCFC, young side, but also very, very talented, and Tati Castellanos, of course, won the Golden Boot, and so, they will be, I think, flying high with players that know how to put the ball in the back of the net, but our defense has been very solid. It'll be a question if Sosa will have recovered by then. 3 weeks should be enough time, probably, but it'll be that question of how we actually set up, but either way, there were some matches kind of this past week. We'll kind of lightly touch on them, especially that New York Red Bulls match, because that was such a drab, but definitely very unlike us. We almost played like New York Red Bulls, where we just didn't want the ball. But it worked out. We were able to make the playoffs because of that result. You have any passing thoughts on that New York Red Bull match? We don't want to relive it too much, but
it was a tough watch. Obviously, you never want to see your team just giving up the ball so easily and panicking and sort of showing next to no attacking intent until the final few minutes. But I do think there's been a little bit of an overreaction on just how bad that performance was. They lost a bit of composure on the ball at times, but that Red Bulls press was ferocious. I know Red Bulls are known for it, but I've not seen them go in that hard for a while. And they really went for the throat with that. And it's easy to unbalance an opposition going in that hard and that fast. So it's understandable. You have to give massive credit to the defenders and to the whole team for defending as a unit. And Brad Guzan in there made a couple of really, really big saves. And everyone pulled in and basically put in a mammoth defensive effort that gained us a priceless point. And obviously points away at Red Bull Arena for anyone are hard to come by and well treasured. But I think given Atlanta United's record during the regular season, I think even more so, that point probably felt like 2.
Oh yeah. It was definitely by some miracle that happened, because they like you were saying, they could have put us to the sword, and they didn't somehow, and we were able to escape with a result that didn't seem fathomable, especially if you watched the game. Bless your hearts if you did, because yeah.
and then George Bellows nearly won the thing at the end as well.
Right. Yeah, a little. Oh no, yeah, but just right at the keeper. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But and then getting to that FC Cincy match, which definitely looked a little bit grim in the beginning too. We could give up a first half goal, and yeah, we just don't look up for it. We look not maybe as drab or dire like we were playing against New York Red Bulls, but it seemed to be a little bit of a hangover slightly, and yeah, it didn't quite kind of pan everything like we wanted, but yeah, some second half subs a little bit kind of helped it a little bit, and yeah, Miles Robinson scores his first MLS goal in his career at a really crucial time, and yeah, equalizes, and it's a really good header too. I mean, yeah, it's kind of glancing and then to the far post, right from that corner. It's well struck. I mean, just well done to Miles Robinson, and he deserves his U.S. men's national team call-up. Definitely, very interesting in that regard, where as an MLS player, he is playing part in in the national team, where the likes of Pulisic and other guys that are playing in the Prem are in there. And so definitely big congrats to Robinson there. And then let's get to the just a ridiculous golazo from Joseph Martinez for the winner. Kind of improbable, definitely some just I think some star moments really that won us this match really. But it's Jurgen Damm comes in, he puts in a ball that gets deflected up in the air, and on the volley, Jose Martinez is able to curl his foot and find that far netting, and ooh, my God, it is. I think maybe in terms of how surprised I was, this is on par with Tito Fischalba versus Orlando City when he just knocks it in from what was it, like 30 yards out. That I fell out of my chair. This one I didn't quite fall out of my chair, but I definitely was just gasping and I could not believe it. But how'd you feel about all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the game itself, big disclaimer, I was actually covering Montreal v Orlando at the same time, so I had half an eye on it. I saw a lot of, in the first half, I saw a lot of Cincinnati having the ball way too much, and I saw a lot of Ezekiel Barco running to dead ends, and that's really all I took from the first half. Was there just seemed to be no energy there, no cohesion or anything. Obviously, the change gets made at half time, and things seem to very quickly improve. I've read up on the comments after the game and what Gonzalo Pineda said. And obviously, he made the tactical switch, but he also mentioned about changing the team's mentality in the second half, and I do think that's key. You're going away to the bottom of the league on the last game of the season. You're basically in the playoffs anyway, but there's still a bit more to go and play for. But it's so easy just to switch off and think you're done, and I think you'll just roll your way to victory. And clearly that wasn't going to happen. Cincinnati wanted to put on a show for their fans, and they do still have some dangerous players as well. And I just think they needed to be more up for it in second half. I think you saw that. In terms of Miles Robinson, I think I've said it on this show before. I think he's the best centre back in MLS. At the very least, as a one-on-one defender, but I think overall, I think he's the best in MLS, and I don't see him staying beyond this season. So I don't think Brad Guzan's prediction of 100 goals is quite going to come true. But nice run to get his first, and an important time to get that game back on track. And as you say, a really well taken header. But I think the one that we're all here for is Joseph's goal. I won't repeat what I said when I saw it. I actually looked at the screen about 10 seconds before that happened. So luckily I managed to catch it while I was still watching the Orlando game, and some expletives came out, and I started just getting the video of it and sending it to all my friends and saying, look at this, because no one believes me that good things happen in MLS, but Joseph will prove you wrong every single time. So yeah, incredible goal, one of the best I've seen for a very long time, and I think a goal that, at least in MLS, Joseph is one of a very select number of players who can both even think about doing it and then pull it off like that, to get that much power and sweep it into the far corner without looking. It's just pure instinct and pure talent, and just so Joseph.
Yeah, we'll get to your Eurostop friends in a second, but but in terms of Jose Martinez, yeah, like on the celebration, or even just right after he scored the goal, he didn't even look at it like to make sure it went all the way in. He already knew. Like,
he knows.
It's just, yeah, it's insane. Just his prowess and the moments of magic that he can conjure up. And so when you have fans that pretty much blast him and say that he's finished, we need to trade him, or we need to transfer him out. I mean, it's insane. I'm just like, no. I mean, he's coming back from an ACL injury. Like, this is him with 12 goals after he came back from an ACL injury. Like, next year is just gonna be gangbusters if he can stay healthy again. And so,
well, I saw I think it was Rob Usry from Dirty South Soccer tweeted after the game. It was Joseph Martinez, I think it was 1.25 legs, has just been on the fringes of the Golden Boot race. So, God help everybody in the playoffs, and then next year I think he's going to be right up in that mix again.
Exactly. He only played 24 games this season, and he got 12 goals. Like that's a return that you'll take every single time. One in every two. But
I believe it was 0.7 goals per 90 minutes. I believe, which is either 0.7 or 0.8. All I know is he's in the top 9 in the league because I was actually researching that. He's in the top 9 in the league for goals per 90, which tells you all you need to know. As I say, 1.5 legs, and he's still one of the most lethal strikers in the league. And
onto your Euro snob friends. It is like, yeah, definitely. I think it's not really even like the defenders could really do anything about that. Because the criticism is always, like that's some shitty defending, and just, where was that defender? And it's like, like he tracks him. He is close enough to him. He just has so much quality that really the defender couldn't do anything about it. But but anyway, in terms of not only FC Cincy, like that gets us into the playoffs, like we just mentioned, and into 5th place. But in terms of some news, George Bellows, he was, as according to Doug Roberson on the AJC, he did talk about how he's attracting interest from Champions League clubs, whether that's Galatasaray or otherwise. But I mean, Robinson and Bellows, like these two players that have been either in the U.S. men's national team or otherwise, kind of in and out. You said that you thought Robinson would probably not be long for this league, but Bellows attracting interest from Champions League sides. How long do you think he's got in MLS before maybe one of those sides does actually come in for an offer, and LA United accepts, because he's 19, he's a guy that's on that fringe, and it's definitely very, very promising so far in his very nascent career.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different. Obviously, there is an age gap that you forget about with Miles and George Bellows. I think there's 5 years separating them, which you wouldn't think so, but I don't think Bellows quite ready yet. All the ingredients are there. He can deliver a great ball. He can be solid defensively. He can make the right runs. I just don't think he does any of it consistently enough just yet, which is absolutely fine. He's 19 years old. It will come with time and experience, but he is a massive talent. Speaking purely from the outside looking in and objectively, my unexpert opinion of what I would do is I'd say another year in MLS would suit him perfectly. Get one more year under his belt, because you've got to remember he sat a year out as well. I believe 2019. So there's a year of his development gone straight away. I think he needs to make up for that next season and start getting a few more assists, start locking down that defensive work. And I think one more year in MLS would really make him a much better player. And I think then he can go, and I think the world's his oyster then. I think he could probably have a pick of quite a few clubs, but I think at this point I can't see him getting into a Champions League team, and then it's always dangerous going to a Champions League team thinking you can get in and then getting loaned out for minutes, because the club that signed you on loan is never going to have your best interests at heart compared to their own players. So that's always a dangerous game to play. So stay at Atlanta, stay with a club that values him and wants to develop him and does want to sell him for a good fee. So they want to get the best out of him and get that other year under his belt, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's he's often compared to Alphonso Davies, but it's I don't quite see it quite yet of maybe quite those levels.
Yeah, still a big gap there. Yeah, I think it's way too early to be making that comparison.
Exactly. Because also in MLS, Davies was playing as a right winger. He was doing some different bits, scoring consistently, assisting consistently. Just a way different type of profile, I feel like, to what George Bello is offering. I think he's more an out-and-out left back or wing back in this league right now. Now, if he takes another step up and kind of reaches another level, that would be amazing. I think so far, he's still kind of a little bit of a project with a little bit of his things that he needs to work on. But someone who's probably not a project, but still a very, very talented player that we possibly and very likely will get in January, or maybe when the offseason starts, whenever that officially will be, is Thiago Almeida, Vélez Sarsfield's player that he also made the Argentine national team, so definitely a big talent. You wrote an article recently about it, and Almeida, big, massive Argentinian talent that a lot of people are looking forward to. There's a little bit of controversy kind of attached with him as well, but you can probably speak to that a little bit as well. But what do you think about Thiago Almeida and the type of player that he is and what he would maybe bring to Atlanta United?
Yeah, I mean, obviously touching on the pitch first off, a really, really exciting signing for Atlanta United, and I think a lot of people this time a year ago, if you'd have said he'd be coming to MLS and Atlanta United, I think people would have laughed at you. As part of the scout report I did, I spoke to Tom Robinson, who's an expert in the field in Argentina. He's actually flown out there, I think, yesterday. So, he gets over there a lot and he's really involved in that scene. And he said to me, the fact that he's not in Europe already is so shocking. No one in Argentina can believe it. So even if we only keep him for a year, I think it's going to be a really good year. He operates in that sort of left pocket in the half space where he can really sort of shift the ball onto his right foot and sort of split a defence. And with his passing, whether on the floor or over the top, he's not scared to take on shots. He'll always try and drive the ball into the middle and get into shooting positions. I noticed his shot map is really, really centralised. He'll get into those middle areas and just let fly, which is great because, Luis Araujo sometimes takes on those shots and Ezequiel Barco sometimes takes on those shots, but I'd wager that Barco's going to go and you need another guy to come in who will just try his luck and keep the goalkeeper on his toes. But, low centre of gravity. There's the criticism that he's not fully physically developed yet, but then again, has Lionel Messi ever been fully physically developed? I don't think it really matters. I think it's a trope. So I think on the pitch, a really, really exciting signing. He ticks all the right boxes in terms of creativity. He seems to have a decent work rate on the pitch, and he can pass, he can shoot. So yeah, really exciting. Off the pitch stuff, yeah, there's been obviously, I don't word this kindly, conflicting reports about there's obviously the court case, which I wouldn't like to comment on too much because, these things, they're always tough areas to tread on. If the court finds him not guilty or the allegations are dropped, then to me that's as far as the public can take it, because that's what the legal system's there to do, is find someone guilty or not guilty. I always like to have the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. So in terms of stuff to do with his character, I know I have seen reports somewhere that some of the gestures that he's made have been taken a little bit out of context by foreign markets, but again, without knowing the guy personally, I really wouldn't like to say too much. All we can do is when he arrives in Atlanta, judge him on how he behaves. He's a 20-year-old kid. Kids make mistakes. Let's allow him the chance to, if it is a mistake what he's made, let's allow him the chance to make up for it and mature with Atlanta United, which I think would be a real credit to the club if they can sort of bring his personality up and really mature him.
Yeah, and definitely, it's like he's not the first player for LA United that's brought some controversy with him or had some while he's been here. So it's, yeah, I like how you're approaching that, is give them the chance to prove themselves otherwise, and if they do prove to be an asshat, well then they will be booed accordingly. But
if he screws up, then he's the one who's going to have to deal with it and live with it. That's it. He'll make his bed and he'll sleep in it, but he hasn't done that for Atlanta United yet. So give him a clean slate and let him prove that he's a 20-year-old kid that may have made mistakes in the past, but he's willing to put that behind him and get his head down and work. That's the attitude I take.
Yeah, and so obviously he has said in Argentine media that he wants to be able to be here for 1 year and then move on to Europe. A guy that's he's not the first Argentine player to say that either, of course. And some get their moves a little quicker or not, but talking about PT Martinez, of course, and of course Ezequiel Barco is another player that, well, that's the question: is he going to be able to get his move? I don't know. Like everyone will know that we're trying to sell him if we get Thiago Almeida in before. I mean, now everybody is already like alerted to it as well. And so if you're a club in Europe and know that Thiago Almeida is coming in and we need to sell Ezequiel Barco, well, they're just gonna kind of milk us for the top dollar that, or maybe less. They'll not want to pay as much, rather. And that's gonna be a thing where it's like, well, are we willing to kind of eat a little bit of what we paid for on him? It would be because we paid around 15 million. I don't know if we can get 15 million in from him in this market. That might be a little bit of an ask, and so I could see him maybe 11 or 12 million. But yeah, would that be good business by Atlanta United?
Well, it's a loss, isn't it? So it's not necessarily good business. But then again, you look at what have you gained on the pitch, and I know Barco's been incredibly inconsistent, but I think the second half of this season, he's certainly proved what he's capable of. And he really, without him, we don't make the playoffs this year, and who knows what he could do in the playoffs as well. So yeah, I think it's the best of a bad situation. I think if Atlanta United can get 11 or 12 million for him, then I think you take that and run and just use it as credit in the bank. You've brought a guy up from Argentina. He took a while to adjust, but you did manage to develop him in the end. You stuck with him and you did draw that top class player out of him. That will count for something in terms of clubs shopping at Atlanta United, and also players who want to come up and follow that path. You'll see that Miguel Almiron's gone, Barco got his move, they stuck with him. They didn't just throw him by the wayside. They stuck with him and got the best out of him. That speaks volumes. In terms of the actual, the fee being lowered because clubs know we need to sell, that's just an unfortunate byproduct of MLS's roster rules, which, on the one hand, it makes it the entertaining league that we all love to watch because there's parity and, Colorado Rapids, lowest spenders in the league, and they finished top of the West. And all the big spenders, a lot of them have missed out. It's just a byproduct of the league, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Everyone's in the same boat. But I think when it comes to Thiago Almada, I think, it's going to be 1 year. But he's signed a long-term contract, so I don't think that's going to, the fact that clubs know that he wants to go, I don't think that necessarily means that Atlanta United want to sell. If the clubs don't come in or they don't come in with the right offer, they'll keep him. He's on a long-term contract. Pay what he's worth, or don't get him. So I don't think when we're talking this time next year, I don't think we'll be too worried about the fee that we'll get for him.
Yeah, and those are great points. Another question would be, how does he fit in the team with a Marcelino Moreno that kind of plays in similar positions, especially driving at a defense from that left side into central areas? It's definitely going to be interesting how they will fit together because, P.T. Martinez and Ezequiel Barco didn't quite gel when they were together, often ended up in the same, almost even running into each other. And so hopefully that is not the case, if it were for Almeida and Moreno. But moving on from all that, you also wrote an article about Darwin Mateos, Atlanta United 2 player who is now training with the first team, and maybe with an eye on making that first team next year. Kind of speak on Mateos and what's going on there.
Yeah, so basically a lot of Atlanta United 2 players have been let go on vacation. They didn't make the playoffs in USL, so their season's over. But what I've been told, I've been informed that he's stuck around and he's been told to stay and train with Gonzalo Pineda until the playoffs start, basically, and then he can go. It's when he first came into the club, Gabriel Ainsa moved heaven and earth to make sure that they got him because he really liked him as a talent, and he made sure that he trained with the first team as much as possible. So he's been valued in the club from the start. He just needed time to adjust. He's a teenager that's moved countries, and he's quite a shy character from what I've seen and what I've heard about him, what I've been told. I've been trying to get him on for an interview for a while, but he's very, very shy. So. So he's been valued in second half, similar to Barco, obviously at the USL level, where first half of the season it just wasn't quite clicking. He couldn't quite get adjusted, but then the second half of the season he's blown up and he's scored a few goals, he's got a few assists, and sort of he's put together a bit of an impressive highlights reel as well. But from what I'm told, it could, and keyword could, be the start of a process that sees him come into the first team next season and start being maybe an impact player from the bench. Whether he's ready or not, again, the same worry with Mateos is the same one with Thiago Almada, is he physically ready for that level? But again, if he's got the talent, the guy can just walk past defenders, no problem. He can finish, he's really composed in front of goal. He's got that final product, so I wouldn't really worry. Talent always wins, and if he's not the biggest guy, then small players make great football players, so I wouldn't worry too much about the physical side of it.
Yeah, and definitely, talented players on the bench or getting looks in the multiple competitions that we'll be in, I think will be a very, very good thing, regardless, always.
Well, with Darwin Mateos as well, he's going to be really hungry as well, because obviously he's moved countries. He's not come over here, or over to you, should I say, but to sit in USL for 4 or 5 years, or to be a bench warmer. He's going to be really hungry to make an impression, and his wages are low compared to some of the other options that Atlanta United have got. So if he plays 20 games for the first team next season and scores a couple of goals and gets a couple of assists, that's great value, and it's great for him. So he's going to be really hungry for it.
looking forward to see if he can make the first team. Something that has been out there in terms of not only Doug Roberson, but Flavio Cardenas kind of mentioning about Carlos Bocanegra, and if he will get an extension. Basically, Darren Eales talked about how he's basically spoken well about Carlos Bocanegra, but was a little bit mum about if there would be an extension or not. But I think the interesting conversation is, will he, and does he deserve plaudits for the turnaround that Atlanta United had? Because, well, there is that bit of people were ragging on him about the level of talent that was brought in, and it seems like they have come good. And at the end of the day, most of the criticism that's left would be how he's handled the relationships with his players, that either outgoing or keeping them. It's kind of been one of the knocks on Carlos Bocanegra. But first off, do you think he deserves an extension?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Well, I mean, if you're breaking down the players that he's brought in, obviously Pity Martinez didn't work out, but then he's found Marcelino Moreno, and he's been fantastic this season. Like, as I say, Atlanta United's MVP, definitely. Ezequiel Barco has now come good. We've managed to get Luis Araujo in, which another great piece of business. Looks like Thiago Almada's coming in. Alan Franco has grown into the season, and I very much agree with that sort of premise that you need a year in MLS just to adjust to being an MLS and all the crazy stuff that comes with it. So, maybe in terms of the players he's brought in, maybe we've been a bit quick to judge. Listen, we all read the article that Felipe did, and Felipe's fantastic. He's got the best connections of anyone in the Atlanta United community, and if he says it, he wouldn't say something if it didn't have legs, and if it wasn't true. I trust his word over anybody else covering this team. But we've never heard Carlos Bocanegra's side of it. Still, he's not really gone to any length to truly defend himself. So, if the stories are true, that he can find talent, but he's a very stubborn character that rubs people up the wrong way, then maybe Darren Eales might be better just to part ways and bring someone in, because Gonzalo Pineda, for example, is a real people person. He's been great with the media. The fans seem to love him, and the players seem to have a great relationship with him already. So maybe that's the kind of vibe that they're trying to put in throughout the club. That's me purely speculating, because obviously I'm not with Carlos Bocanegra every single day. That's only if the reports are true.
Yeah. And that's definitely, I think, something to your point about Gonzalo Pineda and just the culture that he's trying to build. It doesn't seem like there's very much of a culture that Carlos Bocanegra has built whatsoever. It's just kind of, he's there, he calls the shots, he maybe has rubbed some former head coaches the wrong way, or possibly undermined them in a way. But in that sense, I mean, does he deserve those plaudits for the turnaround for LA United? Because he was part of the decision making to let go of Heinze.
I think if you're going to beat him with the stick of things going wrong, then I think if things go right, you have to give him credit. Credit to him for realising maybe that Gabriel Heinze was the wrong hire, getting rid of him so quickly and bringing in a guy who's much more of, like you say, a people person who's galvanised the club. If you're going to sort of put him under such a harsh light, you have to give the guy credit the other way around. Some of the signings, as I say, we've picked up this season of Santiago Sosa is another one, for example, who I think has been really promising. So I do think on balance there are more positives than negatives. I think he's got more right than he has wrong. I mean, won MLS Cup, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? So there's between 2 years, there's three or four trophies in the bank. So if you count the Eastern Conference as a trophy as well, so there's plenty there to celebrate.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I think
as I say, yeah, if you're gonna criticize him one way, then at least give him credit when he gets it right.
right. And so maybe he just needs some, maybe management classes, a little bit of some coaching, seminars on basically how to, build a work culture and finesse his game a little bit about dealing with contracts with players, extensions, whichever may have you, so that even just the players that are outgoing, they don't feel like in their maybe if there were exit interviews that they want to trash Carlos Bocanegra, but it's definitely one of those things where we're not privy to every little bit, but there's a lot of hearsay, and whether that's true or not, I mean, it starts to, I think, where there's some smoke, there could be some fire, and so definitely there's something that needs to at least be considered, at least with Carlos Bocanegra in an extension. But moving on finally to NYCFC, and we spoke a little bit about it on the top of the show. I mean, this won't be like a preview per se, but just how we feel we will fare in that matchup, and if Chris, you feel like we can get past NYCFC?
Yeah, of course we can. Very different team, but we've done it before in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tati Castellanos, obviously the Golden Boot winner. He's not the most efficient striker in MLS, but he's definitely the most hard-working, and he is a serious talent. Maxi Morales has had a great season. I thought he would be done last season, but he's been great again this season. He's really raised his level. Obviously, Sean Johnson in net, Keaton Parks, James Sands, Jesus Medina has been improved this season. So a lot of talent there, and a tough pitch to play on. It's so narrow that it'll be interesting to see how Gonzalo Pineda lines up, because even if you try and use wing backs to give you some width on that pitch, you're still not really getting any width anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how much he maybe tries to beef up the middle of the midfield and make sure we dominate the ball there. So they're all decisions for Pineda and his far superior tactical brain to make. But I don't think that Atlanta United should be worried. I think they're perfectly capable of getting past NYCFC. They're not favourites. But, with Joseph in the form that he's in, and with Ezekiel Barco and Arujo, and obviously Marcelino Moreno will be back as well, there's enough talent there to get it done. I'll say 2-1 win to Atlanta United at this very early stage without knowing any of the team moves yet.
Exactly. No, it's very early days on this, of course. So I appreciate you indulging me on putting you on the spot. But but it is that. I think what's interesting is how good this team is dribbling at players, taking on players. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be really, really important for us in order to break down this NYCFC side on a small pitch, because maybe in yesteryear with Miguel Almiron or Tito Villalba, we needed space in behind in order to run, in order to have that verticality, and instead, actually, we might be able to actually dribble our way around and find the pockets of space that we need to be able to hurt NYCFC. So I do like our chances, I think, very much so, in lieu of that, because I think we're number one in the league in terms of, I think, dribbles completed. In terms of take-ons, I think we're near the top, if not the top, in terms of, attempting those type of take-ons. And so, and then we have that safety valve in the back in Miles Robinson to be able to not have to worry about that one-on-one against against a Brad Guzan, who also is in really, really good form shot stopping wise. And so it's definitely one of those where we have all the pieces, I think, to be able to get past NYCFC. So I would say I think 2-1 is a very good scoreline. I say we can pull off pull off maybe a 1-0 win, maybe. But
go for the clean sheet. I like it.
yeah. But either way, we'll maybe I'll discuss it on the next pod before the actual match. It will be on November 21st at 3 p.m. on ABC. And so that will be some prime time on a Sunday, going against the American football, the eggshell football. So that will be, I think, pretty. I think that bodes well in what they're thinking anyway. That it can do if they're matching it up against the likes of that type of thing. So I think hopefully there will be a lot of eyeballs, and that we can pull it off and kind of give NFL a run for their money. But either way, that pretty much is the show. I mean, guys, thank you so much for watching, for everything. But Chris, let us know where the good people can find you on the internet.
Yeah, on Twitter at CJSmith91. Probably tweet way too much nowadays, but you can get all my takes there, and then on Instagram at Chris_Smith_MLS.
Awesome. Yes, yeah, he's a great follow. At him, troll him. I'm kidding. But no, we definitely we probably share some trolls, and we can deal with those guys, collectively probably. But either way, guys, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. For Chris, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching.